Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the news from Saba Satellite Channel from Marib. Here are tonight's top stories.
President Al-Alimi meets European Union envoy in cooperation and stability.
Presidential Leadership Council drops Faraj al-Bahsini's membership, appoints 2 new members.
Yemen advances diplomatic outreach through expanded engagement with international partners.
Welcome back, and to the details. President of the Presidential Leadership Council, Dr. Rashad Al-Alimi, met today with the head of the European Union mission, Patrick Simonet, to discuss cooperation, partnership, and recent national developments. The meeting reviewed European political, humanitarian, and development support, including assistance for a humanitarian response plan, which the President described as vital for millions of citizens. President Al-Alimi also briefed the European envoy on recent domestic developments aimed at restoring state institutions, strengthening unified sovereign decision-making, and deepening strategic partnership with Saudi Arabia. He stressed that the Houthi militia remains the root cause of instability and source of threats to regional and international security, warning that approaches equating the state with armed groups undermine prospects for lasting peace. The President called on the European Union to play a more active role in supporting institutional capacity, economic reforms, stability, and a credible transition from conflict to state governance.
Staying with presidential news, Dr. Rashad Mohammed Al-Alimi, President of the Presidential Leadership Council, has reaffirmed the state's full support for the work of the National Commission to investigate alleged human rights violations. The remarks came during a meeting today with the leadership of the Commission, headed by Judge Ahmed Saeed Al-Maflahi. President Al-Alimi stressed the Commission's independence and legal mandate, in line with its founding decision and international standards, and directed that all necessary facilitation and protection be provided to enable it to carry out its duties effectively. He was briefed on the Commission's recent activities in documenting violations committed by all parties and its efforts to reduce impunity. The President praised the Commission's work and the credibility it has built locally and internationally, reaffirming continued support from Council and the government. He also highlighted the Commission's role during recent events in Hadramaut and Al-Mahra, including its readiness to receive complaints related to unlawful detention and alleged abuses. President Al-Alimi underscored the importance of protecting victims, witnesses, and Commission staff, and reaffirmed the state's commitment to dismantling impunity and to strengthen the rule of law.
Turning now to leadership developments, the Presidential Leadership Council held a meeting today chaired by Dr. Rashad Al-Alimi, with the participation of council members. The meeting reviewed recent national developments, followed the successful handover of military camps in Hadramaut and Al-Mahra, the temporary capital Aden and other liberated governorates, and the resulting political, security and administrative steps. The Council commended the performance of discipline of the armed forces and security services, noting that the unification of military and security decision-making is a crucial step towards strengthening state authority, maintaining public order and safeguarding rights and freedoms. Members welcomed the outcomes of talks with Saudi Arabia's Minister of Defense, Prince Khalid bin Salman bin Abdulaziz, and expressed appreciation for Saudi support for de-escalation and state institutions. The Council endorsed sovereign decisions for the current phase, reaffirmed commitment to inclusive dialogue in the southern issue, reviewed urgent humanitarian needs, including in Socotra, and stressed accelerating normalization and the return of government institutions to work from inside the country.
In the context of recent decision, the Presidential Leadership Council issued an important decree to drop the membership of Faraj al-Mahsani from the Council. The decision issued today cites violations of the principle of collective responsibility and breaches of constitutional and legal duties. According to the decision, the former member was found to have supported actions outside the authority of the state, challenged sovereign decision of the Council and undermine efforts to unify military and security forces under the Ministries of Defense and Interior. The Council also cited positions and statements that conflicted with the official stance of the state, caused public confusion and harmed state credibility at the national, regional and international levels. The decision further refers to repeated absence from institutional work during sensitive periods, as well as permanent health conditions that prevented the performance of official duties. The Council stressed that these actions collectively affected national unity, state institutions and security interests. The decision takes effect from the date of issuance and will be published in the official gazette.
In another key presidential decree issued today, the President of the Presidential Leadership Council, Dr. Rashad Al-Alimi, has approved the appointment of 2 new members to the Council. Under Decree Number 4 for the year 2026, Mahmoud Ahmed Salim Al-Subayhi and Salim Ahmed Saeed Al-Khambashi were appointed as members of the Presidential Leadership Council. The decision follows the confirmation of vacant seats with the Council and comes in line with constitutional provisions, the Gulf Initiative and its implementation mechanisms, and the declaration transferring power. According to the decision, Al-Khambashi will retain his position as governor of Hadramaut while assuming his new responsibilities as a council member. The appointments take effect from the date of issuance and are to be published in the official gazette.
Turning to diplomatic developments, member of the Presidential Leadership Council, Abdullah Al-Alimi, held separate meetings today with the United States Ambassador Stephen Fagan and the German Ambassador Thomas Schneider, focusing on recent developments and international cooperation. In his meeting with the United States Ambassador, discussions covered political, security, and economic developments and efforts to stabilize liberated governorates and to strengthen state institutions. Al-Alimi stressed that the current phase requires balanced management of the challenges, preventing political and security vacuums, unifying decision-making, and limiting weapons to official institutions. He also highlighted the importance of protecting maritime security and strengthening coordination with international partners. In a separate meeting with the German ambassador, talks focused on supporting institutional recovery, improving living conditions, and advancing peace efforts. Al-Alimi underlined the importance of national unity and responsible dialogue, welcoming Saudi Arabia's sponsorship of a comprehensive Southern dialogue as an inclusive political framework. He also praised continued Saudi economic support and Germany's role in humanitarian and development assistance. Both ambassadors reaffirmed their country's support for the Presidential Leadership Council and the government and their commitment to stability and peace.
In continued diplomatic engagement, member of the Presidential Leadership Council, Tariq Saleh, held separate meetings today with the United Kingdom's Ambassador Abda Sharif and Norway's Special Envoy Heidi Johansson, focusing on recent developments and international efforts to support stability. In his meeting with the British Ambassador, discussions covered political and security developments, bilateral relations, and regional and international efforts, particularly the role of Saudi Arabia in supporting security and stability. Saleh underlined that protecting international navigation in the Red Sea is linked to ending armed threats and praised the United Kingdom's support for the Presidential Leadership Council and the government. In a separate meeting with the Norwegian envoy, talks reviewed recent developments and regional efforts to stabilize the situation. Saleh welcomed Norway's humanitarian role in easing civilian suffering, while the Norwegian side reaffirmed support for the Presidential Leadership Council and efforts to reinforce stability.
Continuing diplomatic outreach, Presidential Leadership Council member Uthman Mujalli met today with the United Kingdom's Ambassador to Yemen, Abda Sharif, to discuss bilateral relations and stability priorities. Mujalli underscored Saudi Arabia's support for unified national decision-making, stressing that addressing the Houthi threat remains the central challenge. He said current efforts focus on supporting stability in Aden by keeping aside civilian and limiting military presence to official fronts and designated bases. Mujalli warned that continued instability poses risks to neighboring countries, calling for sustained investment in security, counterterrorism and human development. He also cited ongoing external support to the Houthis as factor prolonging the conflict. The British ambassador reaffirmed her country's support for the stability, unity and institutional development and its commitment to coordination on the counterterrorism and coastal security.
Today has been unique for Yemen's diplomatic engagement. Prime Minister Salim Saleh bin Brake held separate meetings today with the United Nations Special Envoy for Yemen, Hans Gramberg, and the United States Ambassador to Yemen, Stephen Fagan, focusing on political development, stability measures, and international coordination. In his meeting with the UN envoy, the Prime Minister reviewed the results of recent regional and international contacts aimed at reviving the peace process in line with agreed references. Discussions also covered local developments, government reform efforts, and challenges to resuming the political process amid continued Houthi intransigence. The Prime Minister reaffirmed the government's commitment to constructive cooperation with the United Nations, improving services in liberated areas, and supporting all efforts to restore state institutions and achieve a comprehensive peace. In a separate meeting with the U.S. Ambassador, the Prime Minister outlined progress in consolidating security, including the takeover of military camps and the formation of the Supreme Military Committee to unify military decision-making and enforce the rule of law. Both meetings addressed economic and humanitarian conditions, with the Prime Minister welcoming Saudi Arabia's announced support package worth 1.9 billion Saudi riyals as a key contribution to stability and recovery. The UN envoy and the U.S. ambassador both reaffirmed continued international support for the government efforts to advance stability and the political process.
Staying with international discussions, Foreign Minister Shaya Al-Ziddani met today with Russia's ambassador to Yemen, Evgeny Kadyrov, to discuss bilateral relations and ways to enhance cooperation. Al-Ziddani expressed appreciation for Russia's continued support for the Presidential Leadership Council and the government, and briefed the ambassador on recent developments, particularly in the Eastern Governorates. He noted improving conditions in liberated areas as the government works to strengthen stability by unifying military and security decision-making with state institutions. The Russian ambassador reaffirmed his country's support for stability, security, and territorial unity, and stressed the importance of continued coordination.
In security and diplomatic developments, Interior Minister Brahim Haidan met today with Japan's Ambassador Junichi Nakashima to discuss strengthened bilateral security cooperation. The meeting reviewed efforts to stabilize security in the temporary capital Aden and other liberated governorates, including protecting state institutions and public and private property, in coordination with the Saudi-led coalition. Discussions also covered support for developing Coast Guard capabilities, enhancing maritime security, and building capacity in criminal investigation and forensic services. The Japanese ambassador reaffirmed his country's support for stability efforts and confirmed Japan's readiness to contribute cooperation and capacity building assistance.
In counter-diplomatic consultations, Deputy Foreign Minister Mustafa Nu'man reviewed recent political and military developments with Norway's Special Envoy to Yemen, Hedi Johansen, and Norway's non-resident ambassador, Kirsti Tromsdal. Nu'man outlined the challenges accompanying recent developments and the measures taken by President Rashad al-Alimi to restore the effective function of the state institutions from the temporary capital Aden. He also highlighted the supportive role of Saudi Arabia, noting its continued backing during recent developments. For her part, the Norwegian envoy reaffirmed her country's commitment to humanitarian support, including continued assistance and backing for civil society organizations aimed at easing civilian suffering and supporting stability.
In judicial developments, the Attorney General Qahir Mustafa has issued decision number 1 for the year 2026, ordering the formation of a committee to investigate allegations attributed to Aidarus Qasim al-Zubaydi. The committee will be chaired by the first public prosecutor, Judge Fawzi Ali Saif Saeed, and includes senior officials from the Attorney General's Office, the Human Rights Division, and the Specialized Criminal Prosecution. The decision grants the committee full legal authority to summon individuals, gather evidence, and take all measures provided by law. It also directs the committee to complete the investigation promptly, submit periodic reports, and present its findings with a legal opinion upon completion. The decision takes effect from the date of issuance and is to be implemented by the relevant authorities.
In a new emphasis on the Saudi support for Yemen's stability, Saudi Arabia has reaffirmed its support for President Rashad al-Alimi and the government to strengthen its commitment to security, stability, and development and peace. The position was outlined by Saudi Arabia's permanent representative to the United Nations, Abdul Aziz Al-Wasil, during a Security Council session on political security and humanitarian developments. Al-Wasil expressed concern over military actions by the dissolved Southern Transitional Council near the kingdom's southern border in Hadramaut and Al-Mahra, warning of risks to regional stability. He also confirmed Saudi Arabia's support for hosting a comprehensive dialogue in Riyadh to discuss fair solutions to the southern issue, emphasizing cooperation to achieve lasting stability.
Back to Yemen's diplomatic outreach, Yemen's ambassador to the European Union, Mohammed Taha Mustafa, has met with senior European Union officials to review the latest developments. The discussions included Helen Legal, Director General for the Middle East and North Africa, and Anna Maria Panagiotopoulos, head of the Arabian Peninsula and Iraq Division. Ambassador Mustafa briefed the European side on recent political and security developments and on ongoing efforts by the Presidential Leadership Council and the government to stabilize security and public services in liberated governorates. For its part, the European Union reaffirmed the continued support for the Presidential Leadership Council and the government, stressing its commitment to unity, security, and stability as part of efforts to reach a political settlement that delivers peace and development.
For continuous updates, stay with Saba Satellite Channel. Thank you for watching and have a good time.